She was born into royalty, but refused to be bound by it. A princess whose life was a whirlwind of glamour, controversy, and heartbreak. Margaret Rose Windsor, the younger sister of Queen Elizabeth II, was never destined for the throne, yet she captivated the world in a way few royals ever have. Margaret, the princess who loved, lost, and lived on her own terms. On August 21, 1930, Princess Margaret was born into privilege at Glamis Castle in Scotland. The younger daughter of the Duke and Duchess of York, she was a royal from birth, but the weight of destiny did not yet rest on her small shoulders. That changed in 1936, when her uncle, King Edward VIII, abdicated the throne for love.
And now we all have a new king.
Suddenly, Margaret's father became King George VI, and her older sister Elizabeth was now heir to the throne. Margaret, at just 6 years old, was thrust into a life of royal expectation. As a child, Margaret was mischievous and charming, an outgoing contrast to the more serious and dutiful Elizabeth. She had a sharp wit, an infectious laugh, and a natural ability to command attention. Yet from an early age, she knew that she was the spare, the sister who would never rule. In the years following World War II, Britain was rebuilding, and so was the royal family. Amidst this period of renewal, Margaret fell deeply in love. The man who captured her heart was Group Captain Peter Townsend, a decorated war hero and her father's equerry. He was dashing, honorable, and utterly devoted to her. But there was one problem. He was a divorced man. In the rigid traditions of the monarchy, divorce was taboo, and a royal marriage to a divorced man was considered scandalous. Though Margaret was just 22 years old, she faced an impossible choice: marry the man she loved and lose her royal title and privileges, or remain a princess and sacrifice her heart's desire. The world watched as Margaret wrestled with her decision. For years, she and Townsend kept their love alive in secret. But in 1955, under immense pressure from the government and the Church of England, Margaret made the painful announcement she would not marry Peter Townsend. In a public statement, she said she had made her decision mindful of the Church's teachings and out of duty to the Commonwealth. The truth, however, was far more tragic. In sacrificing love for duty, Margaret's heart was forever marked by loss. Denied her great love, Margaret refused to become a passive royal figure. Instead, she embraced a life of glamour, sophistication, and independence. Margaret was the epitome of style, hailed as one of the most fashionable women of her time. With her striking beauty, she moved effortlessly in elite circles, rubbing shoulders with Hollywood stars, artists, and musicians. Unlike her sister, Queen Elizabeth, who was bound by duty and decorum, Margaret thrived in the limelight. She became the first British royal to visit America in an official capacity, dazzling the press and earning comparisons to a movie star. But Margaret's rebellious streak wasn't just about fashion and fame. It was about challenging the rules that had dictated her life. And in 1960, she did just that by marrying Anthony Armstrong Jones, a commoner and society photographer. Margaret's wedding to Armstrong Jones was a royal first. It was the first time in centuries that a British princess had married a non-aristocrat. The couple's union was celebrated as a modern fairy tale romance. But beneath the glamour, their marriage was crumbling. Armstrong Jones was charming but unfaithful, and Margaret's own frustrations led her to seek comfort elsewhere. Affairs, scandals, and the pressure of royal life eroded their relationship. By 1978, Margaret became the first senior British royal to divorce since Henry VIII. It was a bold move, one that once again placed her at odds with royal tradition. But for Margaret, it was a statement. She would not remain in an unhappy marriage for the sake of appearances. Glamour, Margaret's later years were marked by loneliness. She watched as her sister's role as queen became more revered, while the press painted her as a troubled, tragic figure, a woman lost in a world that no longer understood her.
40 years! You cannot bring yourself to acknowledge what happened to me and the part you played in it.
In the early 1990s, she and Townsend met again at a luncheon in Kensington Palace, where they reportedly chatted like old friends. 2 years later, Townsend passed away at 80. Eventually, years of smoking and drinking took their toll, and by the late 1990s, Margaret's health declined. She suffered a series of strokes, and her once vibrant presence faded into frailty. On February 9, 2002, Princess Margaret died at the age of 71. While she and Peter are both gone, their story lives on. It was disclosed that after their split, the two exchanged letters occasionally, and those letters are now stored in Windsor Castle, to be opened on the 100th anniversary of her birth. Meanwhile, the Royal Marriages Act of 1772, the law that once kept them apart, is no longer in effect. Princess Margaret's life was one of contradictions. A royal who challenged the monarchy, a princess who lived on the edge of convention but remained bound by its rules. A rule, but in her own defiant way, she shaped the future of the royal family. Today's younger royals, those who seek love over duty, who challenge those outdated traditions, owe something to the princess who dared to break the rules. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution.